Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are. Welcome to NerdTube, and it's time to talk about the Tulsa King Season 2, Episode 7. Episode 7? Episode 10. Episode 10 review, Reconstruction. As we do a deconstruction of this particular episode, I'm here with Ginger Greek. How you doing?
All good, raring to go.
Wonderful. So we get a bonus episode, well, as far as I'm concerned, because it was a 9-episode season last season, and now we get 10. Unfortunately, they just don't learn lessons here at Paramount because the episodes keep getting bloody shorter and shorter and shorter. If you watched The Penguin, as we both did, the final episode was a nice, juicy hour and 10 minutes. You know, a real culmination of an episode, gave us everything we needed for the send-off for the show. Well, here we get is 35 minutes, and you know shit's going to be getting turned over pretty quickly. However, there were some moments in this episode that really made me think, wow, that's the fucking general. And we'll talk about that as we go along. But overall, James, how did you find this episode? This finale?
It was okay. It was okay. You know, the last two episodes have really dropped off compared to the rest of the series, which was has been immaculate. But the last two just nothing went the way we thought it did. In some areas it worked off, in others it didn't. But I agree with you 100%. The runtime is the culprit here. And there are a few other things, obviously, we'll get into later. But just as I was about to message you to say, what the hell is it with these short run times? And this was at about, I think, the 26 or 27 mark. The bit I did not expect to happen happened, and I thought that was great. That was the best part of the episode, which we'll get into. But overall, you know, it was disappointing. Nice end, though. I like the end.
We'll jump all over the place here, but I want to get to, in my opinion, what feels and comes across as arguably the most pointless, useless sort of subplot in this series so far is Mitch Keller buying the fucking used car sales lot. Like, nothing really came from that. and he got the help of Grace, who works in the weed store, and she's a film student, to basically help create a commercial. And I really thought she'd go down a different route when it came to creating that commercial, but no, she pretty much did the same shit but differently.
Yeah.
And it was making him into a fucking Zorro character and all of that. But was there any point in Mitch Keller buying this fucking car lot that made any sort of something to the story whatsoever? Because I don't know. I'm maybe something that's gone over my head.
I mean, if I was to hazard a guess, it's just to set up for the next season to see where they go with that, or it's just there's not too much about it. It's just another way to kind of help launder their money, which is what a lot of these kind of people do. They'll buy a business like that, and then they can fiddle the books to say they sold this for that much and all this kind of stuff. So that's what I'm guessing. Mainly that would have.
But we did see at the very just before the end, we did see Dwight saying, "Okay, we're legit. So why do they need to launder money? I mean, everything they do in Oklahoma would be considered criminal in other states, but weed is legit, gambling is legit. So why do they need to launder money?"
Yeah, that's the point. I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Maybe launder money in the sense that profits made. So you do it. So to say okay, look, here's 100,000 in profit, but we'll hide half of that from the tax man by saying, look, we spent this on that and this on that and all this kind of stuff. That's how a lot of these places do it. They inflate their assets. They inflate stuff or underinflate things that they sold as well, so they can also hide the amount of money made and all this kind of stuff. So, or it's just a way of just going legit and monopolizing the area and kind of sharing the wealth kind of thing. You know, it's just one of those where I'm with you. It just the whole thing just felt pointless from start to finish because there was no
Yeah.
payoff. If there's payoff later, great. If not, then just pointless. And like I agree with you about the advert. It was just it was funny. I
Exactly.
enjoyed it, but it was just the same corny kind of advert that the other guy does. And from a film student, you'd expect something a bit more highbrow, a bit more, like I'm gonna do like a movie type advert. But no, we just got comedic payoff kind of thing, which was fine. But yeah, given her background, you expected something a bit more. But it's not really worth dwelling on that
I
part of the episode too much. So that's all I'll say about it.
just to round this bit off with Mitch
Mm.
and the card room. Maybe something comes from it in season 3. Maybe he has a competitor because what's his face did jokingly say, or was he joking, that he might run
Yeah,
a competitor showroom across the street, which would be the most stupidest thing he would do character wise, but he knows who Dwight is. He knows who he's dealing with. They fucked him over to a degree when they were stealing his catalytic converters, right under his nose, and he knew they were doing. So if he does that, that for me would be really terrible writing, in my opinion.
yeah,
So all right.
yeah. All right, can I move
So
on to the second most pointless character in this whole season?
the
And that was
sister.
Thresher. No, Thresher.
Oh, Fresher. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the
dealt with
sister,
that.
yeah. But Thresher,
Yeah.
given his position, just felt completely useless. And I hated how it all ended with him.
Well,
You yeah,
he got muscled by the triads, and now he's getting muscled by Dwight. He did kind of see the light to a degree. Like, look, you're fucking loaded. You're rich. Do your fucking rich man shit and get the gangster shit to gangsters. And don't get involved in this sort of enterprise. Don't get involved with people like us. So he kind of got the message to a degree, but yeah, it got a bit too easily wrapped up in the bow and all of that. I do think, though, however, that Fresher does have a role to play in what happens to Dwight at the end of this episode. So
Oh,
that could
100%. 100%. But the thing is, this is what I mean. Like, if that is the case, which I'm guessing it should be if they do it right, then this is what he should have done in the beginning. Well, to be fair, he did try to do it because he had the attorney general in his hand, but he still lost the case. So now he's kind of escalated it. So that's a good payoff. But the fact that he's a billionaire with no security, no private army, none of this, just kind of walks away. He's not really going to walk away. But it also makes no sense. Plus, like you said, like his business, the marijuana business was legitimate. It was a legitimate grower. It wasn't like some fucking thing that was stashed away. So, yeah. But if he plays a bigger role in season 3, where you actually see what billionaires are really capable of, not this kind of weird Taylor Sheridan romanticized version of they're just a cuck and it's all the lowlifes that get their way, not the billionaire, then that would be a really good long-term storytelling. So we wait and see on that one. But
well,
also,
then we go to the third one.
yeah,
Sorry, go on.
no, fine. I was just going to go
Then we
into
go
the
to
sister. How we never got the
yeah.
payoff
We should have
that
said
we wanted.
probably the third most useless character in the show is the
Yeah,
sister. Oh, by the way, just so before we go on, no
the daughter.
foreshadowing of the
Sorry, not
bullet
the
and the
sister.
gun and stuff like that. But yeah, the sister, she survived. She's now working in the weed shop. She's got her ideas and stuff like that. She's now got her own office. And who the fuck cares? Seriously, like,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
absolutely pointless. But what I will say that came very good out of this episode was why people give the moniker of the general to Dwight Manfredi, because there were moments where this guy really treats gangsterism as a military exercise.
Yeah.
He's loyal to his troops. He really does give a shit about his troops, and he doesn't suffer fools lightly either. and he takes care of business. All of these things we kind of saw in this particular episode. So now Chicky, he decides to come down and pay Dwight a visit. And Chicky, without a doubt, is the spoiled little rich kid, isn't he? I mean, he
Oh
just
yeah.
doesn't know any better. He's the total polar opposite to Dwight. Has no respect for anybody. Treats people like shit. Talks to people like they're shit. Got no charm whatsoever. And he walks into the higher plane weed shop. Starts throwing his weight around, intimidating the staff, and goes into Dwight's office whilst he's waiting for Dwight. And that's when Dwight comes in, finally, after being informed prior to riding the horse, and has a moment with Chicky. I don't know how Dwight kind of found out that Chicky killed his dad, because he confronted him about that and said, "Yeah, you killed your dad."
I don't know if Vincent told him. I think Vincent kind of let him know about that.
Oh, really? I can't remember that, but fair enough.
Yeah, I think it was through there that he kind of found out.
Fair enough. And so before I go on about this a little bit more, he did speak to Vincent earlier on. Now he knows that Vincent's in charge. He thinks that the nutcases are running the asylum, but fair enough. I think that would be actually better for Dwight, all considering Vincent seems to be more level-headed compared to Chicky. Yeah. But going back to Chicky, yeah, I think he really does think he was invincible, which is why I'm glad what happened to him did happen to him. But he gets nowhere with Dwight. He wants Dwight to come back to him to New York. Understands that he's a good earner. He's able to build an empire from nothing, and because maybe he's coming across a bit weak now. His dad's dead. Chicky wants him to come back, kick Vincent out, whack Vincent probably, and run the show alongside him. And Dwight doesn't want to do that. He's very happy in Tulsa. And so Chicky then goes on to see Bill Balaclava, or what the fuck his surname is.
Yeah, we'll go with that, Balaclava.
Yeah. And Bill can see right through him. Chicky is not in a strong position. He acts like he's a boss, but he isn't a boss. He's been ostracized, which then leads to the moment that they go to both Bill and Chicky go to visit Dwight. And I don't know if this was necessarily planned to how it ended up happening, but once again, the disrespect of Chicky is what made him get whacked by Bill, in my opinion, because he was speaking for Bill without letting Bill speak. Bill doesn't need a younger guy like Chicky to speak for him. Bill's self-made. He got disrespected by Chicky, and then he puts a fucking while talking to Dwight, and then Bill whacks him just like that. Did not see that coming, but it totally makes sense. It makes so much sense. Makes so much sense. This guy, so many reasons, but go on.
Yeah. So in the beginning of the episode, obviously we have. Bill kind of walks in to demand, after the whole thing happens with Thresher, he walks into Dwight's place to demand 50% of, I think it was basically Thresher's stuff. And Dwight was like, you'll take 20% or 25% and be happy with that. And Bill was like, well, no, kind of thing. And then he goes off, and then him and Chicky kind of have the conversation that they basically just need to whack Dwight, and so they concoct this whole thing. But then, as you say, Bill gets disrespected, pulls the trigger, and then he just turns around to Dwight and he says, as I said before, 50%. and Dwight's just like, it's worth it.
You earned it.
You earned it. I thought that was brilliant. That was a great payoff that we didn't see coming, and we just got rid of Chicky. And I thought that was the one thing that needed to happen in this episode, was Chicky in this season, was Chicky getting offed. And the fact that Bill did it was fucking fantastic. I didn't see it coming. That's when I was going to message you to say, what is it with the short runtime? And then that happened. So then obviously I got distracted. And
fair enough. Well, for me, it looked like something orchestrated by the general. Like this is a general tactic right here. This is what makes him the general. It's not just the fact that he's an earner, good negotiator. Like he was already a step ahead of Chicky. Chicky thinking he's gonna whack Dwight, but Chicky's the one who ended up getting whacked because Dwight can offer something to Bill. What the fuck can Chicky offer Bill? Nothing really. And and Dwight is he's tough but fair, while Chicky's unpredictable. You know, and after what Chicky's done, killing, he's an idiot. He killed his own fucking father, which is a line even wise guys don't cross. You know, you don't kill for your family members and shit like that. Who the fuck does he think he is? Michael Corleone. So he did all of did things that were reprehensible to Dwight. He had to go, and he did go, and that was absolutely superb. Fantastic way to end the season regarding tying up these loose ends. And now he's got I wouldn't necessarily an ally, but he's got somebody he's in business with in Bill, somebody he doesn't have to worry about being able to sleep, peacefully and all of that. If you're making in the mafia business, if you're making money, then let's not cause any trouble. So
I mean, they've only got New York to worry about. I mean, Tulsa's only got New York to worry about now.
And they might team up against New York.
Huh?
And they could easily team up against New York.
So they've only got New York to worry about. Well, until of course we get to the end of the episode and he's arrested by a secret underground organization / FBI, and he's like, "You work."
Well, we saw very, very early on in this episode. We saw very early on that that there were we saw that somebody gave us a call wanting to pull up information on Manfredi. That we saw that these legal motherfuckers, and so that's led to that. I think. Look, I could just imagine how episode 1 of season 3 is going to pan out. Dwight's going to be infiltrated, and then he'll be told, "You know what? You can go back to your life. We'll get in contact with you," and that's how it's going to happen. So he's not going to be held hostage forever. He's going to be infiltrated very quickly, and he's going to end up being maybe something he detests, which is a rat. But for who? Maybe against New York, possibly, because like I said, everything he's doing back in Tulsa is legitimate. But he obviously there's dead bodies buried all around to do with him. Even though not once has he pulled the fucking trigger. Not once have we seen Dwight kill anybody in these last 2 seasons.
Exactly. Yeah,
he's never killed anybody. But if Dwight ends up out of commission, then who runs the show? Goody? Is it Tyson? Is it Mitch? So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out, and obviously his daughter as well. By the way, we forgot to mention Armand. He's back working with the horses again, so that's right. I told you he's a lucky motherfucker, man. I mentioned that in my previous.
He's lucky. It was a bit of a predictable outcome after what had initially happened. Like I said, we thought, he'll just get the money, go away, and then he'll be dealt with season 3. But obviously, we got the opposite of that, and everything's just gone back to square one. Which, okay, it's fine. That kind of happens. He was desperate. He lost his family. Everything went to shit. So you kind of get it. But in season 3, because I like Armand, I like the character.
Me too.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a complete fuck up, but if he's something that just ends up being a real asset in helping Dwight get out of this situation, kind of thing, and he loses his life for it or whatever, that would be kind of cool story arc.
Well, Armand he might be in witness protection himself, so he might know some people and all of that, which could help Dwight. So there's interesting things there. I hope he does get his wife and kids back. That'll be a nice turn. I want the best for Armand. Now it'll be interesting what happens with Dwight and Margaret, because Margaret's been very lenient with Dwight, considering who she is and what Dwight's been up to. I mean, he's fucking killed people on her land. Yeah, she knows he's a gangster, but somehow she likes the bad guy to a degree. And now people have busted into her home with fucking automatic weapons and dragged Dwight out of bed, leaving her wondering what the fuck is going on. I mean, so we'll see where their relationship goes next season. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if it ends. I really wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah, I
So
think season 3 will probably be the last one. I mean, there's only so much Sylvester has in the tank. But who knows? Because, I hope not. I hope we get at least 4. I think 4 is a good run. You don't need to drag it out for the sake of dragging out, because by that point, he'll be pushing in his 80s. And but the question is for season 3, so why would he be working for them? Like, is it going to be for New York? Is it to bring down
I think it's
Kansas?
New York.
Yeah, you think it's for New York?
It's New
I
York. I
have
mean,
a
maybe
funny
Bill.
feeling it might be that and something more.
Yeah, there could be other factions that have yet to come into play because they haven't written them in yet.
Yeah.
There's
Or they
all of
uses
that.
marijuana to kind of flood the streets a la CIA and crack cocaine in the 80s.
Do you think the series needs Stallone in it to continue? Like, what about if maybe Tyson
Not really.
took over?
Not really.
Because I would love. Yeah.
I think Mitch is prime candidate to kind of take over things. With Goody as well. I think there's enough characters that really kind of come up in this. Even though Mitch kind of did take a bit of a back seat in season 2, if I'm being perfectly honest. But I think there's enough there to kind of carry this show on without Stallone, should he decide to move on and not want to do anymore. Because I'd come back and watch this universe. I enjoy this universe. I like it. I want to see Mitch with his military background put into good use again. I want to see like Tyson kind of, get bigger boots for himself, and then just see the group splintering like that. That kind of, maybe there's a fracture between Tyson, Goody, and Mitch about leadership and all this kind of stuff.
What about
So there's plenty
Bodie?
there.
What about Bodie? Like, he could be like the Walter White of this entire fucking series.
I think
Bodie could end up
just get out without Dwight there to threaten him.
I thought Bodie wanted to get out, but I think Bodie's getting more and more enticed with each episode. Like, he seems like somebody who cut and run, but he's been shot at. He's had the shit beaten out of him, and he's still fucking there. You know what I mean? Like, he's not.
Yeah. I mean, it would be funny. He'd be like the comedic relief candidate to take over the business kind of thing. So you can have a lot of fun with that regard.
But I would love to see him be the boss. Like, he doesn't have to be a tough guy, but he can end up being ruthless. I mean, he needs he will need his Bigfoots and all these motherfuckers around him to carry his win. But because of he's an intelligent guy, but now he's learned how to be a gangster. I would love to see that mix. I always wanted that for Walter White in Breaking Bad, where he, from school teacher, he ends up being a fucking don. But they were hinting that it was going that direction, but they never went that direction, which really pissed me off, because it would have been great to see something like that.
Also,
I would love to see that. Yeah.
Don't forget, he has the Native Americans on his side. He's the one that's doing all the wind farm stuff and dealing with them all the time. So there is that possibility he could cut them in on a deal. And all that. I mean, I don't think any of this will go that way. I think once Stallone goes out, the show will end. But it really shouldn't. I think
he's writing episodes, Stallone, by the way. He's getting his hooks into it, because when Stallone did, for instance, when Stallone was in Creed 1, he never really got involved in the reboot really of the Rocky franchise. He did get involved in Creed 2. I think he helped write it and obviously directed it in the second one, and he got ousted for the third one. I'm not sure how much of an involvement he had with Tulsa King in the first season, but he is credited for so much shit in the second one. He's writing episodes, and obviously he's the producer and all of that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he directed as well, but an episode or two, because the guy can direct. So, he's definitely involved in all of this. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he adds to a third season. if he's
Yeah,
capable of doing it. Yeah,
yeah.
I like this universe too. I like this sort of family mafia sort of mindset. You know, like he isn't surrounded by muscle, by the way. He's only got a few tough guys. Mitch has, so he might need to add to his roster of
Well, I think he
meatheads.
did a deal with the natives as well to kind of
Oh yeah,
expand
yeah,
with
the
them.
natives. I forget about that. Yeah,
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 so he's definitely going to have to expand his operations, get more people in, because yeah, as you say, it's can't just have it with like 6 people. It just doesn't work
exactly.
that
Yeah.
way.
Well, let's
But
mark
yeah,
it for let's do an episode review and then the season review. What are you going to give episode 10?
I'll give this one. I'm not going to be as cruel as I was last week. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Yeah, it wasn't. Again, the last 2 episodes kind of fell off, but there was still enough there, and the whole Chicky thing and the arrest at the end to bump this up to a nice 7. You?
I was planning on giving it a 7, but Chicky getting whacked made it an 8 for me. That just what you know what, bravo for getting rid of a big character, a significant character, but it makes sense. You know, we would be criticizing Mitch all fucking day long for not taking care of Chicky for all the shit he's done, and he's done what we expect someone like the general to do, which is to take care of business, and getting rid of Chicky is that. All right. How about a season review for season 2 of the Tulsa
So,
King?
as it was progressing, I was on the 10 out of 10 mark for this because it was just all going great. But because of the last 2 episodes, I have to bump this down to an 8 out of 10. Thresher's payoff was abysmal. Armand's payoff was too easy. The daughter and the sister were just pointless. And yeah, a lot of the payoffs just didn't happen the way I kind of wanted them at all. But overall, it was still a great journey. It's a great universe. I absolutely love it. I want more. So 8 out of 10 overall.
I give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I think some of the stuff we got in New York never got fleshed out enough during the course of this
Agreed.
season regarding Vincent taking over and speaking to other bosses and all of that. And yeah, there were pointless subplots like the car showroom thing, which I hope didn't materialize it for season 3. As well as the daughter going back to New York, which I found okay, whatever, and telling Chicky about it as well, which was a stupid move. You know, like he would have been none the wiser if she went back. So yeah,
Yeah.
8 out of 10 for me. We still enjoyed it. Love this series. Love this show. You know what? How the hell has Martin Scorsese never used fucking Sylvester Stallone in the gangster role for one of his movies? It's beyond me because he
Didn't use
can.
it. Wasn't Copland Scorsese?
If it wasn't a gangster role. He played a cop,
Oh, right. Yeah. No, you're right.
a deaf cop
Yeah.
as well. So yeah. I'm not sure if it is. It doesn't feel like a Scorsese film, but you never know.
Well,
Massive cast, however.
I can't remember. I don't think it was a Scorsese film. But also don't forget, like during that period, Stallone was too expensive, and he was also difficult to work with at that point in time because it was a bit like a Tom Cruise, wanted to take control of productions and all this kind
You
of
can see
stuff.
that now
So
with his name of
maybe
everything.
that. But now, since the days of the Expendables, he kind of learned his lesson and it's given a lot more leeway. And that's why more people want to work with him and like him, and he's getting more work now and all this kind of stuff. So could be that. I could be wrong. You never know. But I agree
Regardless, we're
with you.
looking forward. Yeah, and by the way, just people know, Taylor Sheridan, he's the man. You know, any of the stuff he's making right now is worth watching, and it's all on Paramount Plus. Some really good fucking shows that I'm very much into. All right, thank you very much, Ginger. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the great social media channel you never heard of. More reviews on the way of various things. Take care now. Bye bye.